Howdy, y'all. Okay, it's been a while since I've done one of my cooking videos, and I know y'all have been looking forward to seeing something else and something different. So today, we're going to can up some pork. Now, I've got some pork sirloin, and I am here with my mom. Say hi, Mom. And you can see the sirloin right here. Now, these are about 3 pounds each, and we're going to try to fill up at least 3, maybe 4 jars of them. And the idea being is that I want to save these for some pulled pork later on. So, here we go. First thing we're going to do is chop up the meat. Interesting. So, the thing about pork sirloin is, unlike butt roast or some of the others, it's got this bone in it. So, the first thing you've got to do is cut the bone out. So, let's see if I can not cut me. Our chunks we want are about this big.
1 inch cubes.
1 inch cubes. 1 trimmed pork. So we're on roast. Ta-da! Alright. Good sharp knife.
Don't give him a big head.
Did you see the last video I did?
Yeah. Sure that doesn't have a bone in it.
It doesn't. I got all the bones out before we started, and I'm checking each strip as we go to make sure there are no bones in it.
And try to keep them relatively the same size.
Yeah.
Just as an FYI, you could take your scraps and your bones and use them to make pork stock.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, that's a lot of work separating the bone out of the sirloin. So just for the record, I'm not going to do that anymore. And we ended up with so much waste from this. Now, if this pork was a little bit newer, part of why I am going ahead and doing this canning is because pork's getting a little old and I don't want to have to freeze it. So we wanted to go ahead and can it before it went bad. But if the pork was a little bit newer, I would probably boil it down, get some of that stock out, maybe even cut the pieces of meat, shave them off the rest of the way and give them to the dogs. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and throw it away because I just don't want to risk it. But I did want to show you 3 pounds each, and I'm thinking about a third of it was bone. So let me show you this real quick. This is the waste I got. I got this much bone. Now this is 2, so that's out of 6 pounds of sirloin pork roast compared to this much meat. And just so you can see. So, individual chunks, about 1 inch. We're going to come back here in a minute. We're going to go ahead and get this in some brine water, and then we're going to come back afterwards and add some pork butt to it. That should be much easier to cut. It won't have the bone, it won't have as much gristle and fat, and should give us much less waste. So, see you then.
I'm going to create a type of brine to hold this until we're ready to put it in the jars. All I did was cold tap water, and I'm going to add some salt.
How much salt?
About 2 tablespoons for this much water. And that should do fine. We'll just put less salt in the jars because I do can meat with salt, since salt is like a preservative in itself. I'm going to give you an idea of what we're going to do. First off, this is my canning book. This is the USDA home, what do they call it down here?
U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Yes, and it's the home canning or home food preserving department. They put out this book. It has all of their regulations and so forth as far as what they consider safe canning, and I use this a lot.
Yeah, I use the online reference for that.
And there is an online reference, and I don't remember the website, but Sarah can look it up and put it down in the description.
Look in the description.
I also use the Bald Book of Home Canning and Preserving, but since we're doing, and I don't have that out here, probably if you've done any canning or preserving at all, you've seen it. The Bald Blue Book is also good. This is a fairly simple process. It's called cold pack canning on meat. You don't even need water. You cut your meat up into chunks that are about a ½ cube or about 1 inch cubes. Pack them in the jars. You can put in your salt. I put it in the bottom. You can put it in the top. It doesn't matter. Put the lids on them and can them. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But this book gives you your pressure times, your pressure weights, and so forth. Now, I'm going to, let me find, you'd think I'd know where this was. I've only had it out a million times. This is the page where you come to, it says strips, cubes, or chunks of meat. And then you'll come over here and you'll do the raw pack. Okay? Let them bark at the squirrels.
My mom has the cutest poodles. Check these little guys out. Are they not adorable? My dad's over there cutting up he ended up getting a pork shoulder butt roast. We actually got 2. We caught them on sale at HEB for 97 cents a pound. So this looks like it's 8 pounds each. So we're going to be adding about 16 pounds to this.
Okay. Now, back to my book. This is still the USDA canning guide. And I have a weighted gauge canner, my All-American, which I love. Fantastic. And the cool part is you don't need gaskets for it. So as long as you remember to put a little bit of olive oil along the inside rim, you don't have to worry about, do they have your gaskets in stock somewhere. It's very cool canner. Anyway, weighted gauge pressure canner. We're going to do quarts at 1,000, less than 1,000 feet. That means we will be canning it for 90 minutes once we get to the canning point. Now, before we ever get to the cooking it in the canner part, there's some steps we have to go through. Number 1 was cutting up the meat. Just getting it into the 1 inch cubes. Once it's into the 1 inch cubes, what we will need to do is, number 1, I've already done Steramine over here. But you need to sanitize your surfaces.
Freeze! What is Steramine?
Steramine is kind of like Clorox, except stronger. It's also much easier to store. Bleach, like Clorox, is only good on your shelves at maximum strength for about a year. Same for Lysol and all of those. Steramine is an industrial kitchen cleaner. They use it in restaurants and places like that where food is prepared. You use it by spraying it on, making sure it's even on there, letting it sit for about a minute, and then wiping it off. And it will continue to kill germs and stuff for long enough for you to finish probably what you're doing.
So it's a sterilizer, an antibacterial agent.
Yes. And I just learned the other day from watching another YouTuber that where Clorox only kills 99.99% of the germs, Steramine actually kills 99.999% of the germs. Now, that may not seem like a big difference, but 1/1000th is a lot smaller than
1/100th.
1/100th. Okay, so the Steramine also comes in tablets. This is the jar I have, or bottle I have. The tablets are about, whoops, I got my half. The tablets come about that size. About this much of it, about half a tablet, will dissolve in a 1 quart spray bottle and give you a strong antibacterial type
That'll kill all the germs.
cleaner.
That'll
Yes.
kill everything.
And this doesn't go bad in 1 year.
Yay!
Okay, which is why I like the Steramine and use the Steramine, and you can get it. Okay, I've never done this before, all right? So you guys just be patient with me.
You're doing great, Mom. By the way, this is Mom, just so everybody knows. So this is your new mom. Say hi, Mom.
That's Sergeant Mom.
That's Sergeant Mom? Okay, yeah, she inherited Sergeant Dad's
Title.
Sergeant Dad's still cutting meat.
Yeah, just cut the bone out, honey.
I can cut it up if you can get the bone out.
Anyway.
The reason I am tormenting my father is because my EDS hand said, nope, you've cut enough bone. It is time for you to pause. So when he went to the store, I sent him after bone free, but he caught a sale. So I'm not complaining, but yeah, I said, you're cutting this. Get the bone out.
Which he doesn't mind at all. He loves her.
Look
He would
at
do-
all
Well,
that
she turns it over to
beautiful
Sergeant
meat.
Dad.
Sergeant Dad
Who
did
cut off the bone.
fabulous. Now I get to cut all that up.
Yeah, you gotta get this other one too.
No, that goes.
Yeah, that's for them. So we're only going to add 8 pounds. We're not going to add a full 16. I don't blame them. That's a lot of meat.
Well, I want to can it.
We might be.
Wait.
I did tell y'all sometimes this could get comical, right? Yeah, okay.
Hey, after 48 years of marriage, you gotta have fun. I was talking about the Steramine.
Okay,
and
so after we sterilize our jars.
now, you don't have to use the Steramine on the jars.
Oh,
They were new jars. If not, they were at the very least washed and have new lids. The only thing they need to be is hot. So what I do to heat my jars,
well, what do you use the Steramine on?
the cabinets, the cutting boards, the knives, stove if it needs it, which it may, I don't know.
So
I
it's
haven't
used
looked
to
at it
clean your
this morning.
surfaces and
It's
everything.
It's to clean all of the surfaces. The surfaces? No. The surfaces and so forth. And the very, very best part of it is you get those jars, they're like 120 tablets. That's like, I think is it 120 or I don't know. I took my glasses off so I can't read. But you get those bottles and however many tablets are in there, you get double that many.
And here is the Steramine. So you fill this with warm water, a half a tablet, and shake it. And then spray on surface. Wait a minute. And it says whip. I think that's white up.
Yes. Did I put an H in it?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Well, you can whip it up.
I guess so. I guess I was whipping up a bottle of Steramine. So, anyway, enough about Steramine. You use what you want. You do you.
I like that. You do you. It's a good phrase. I've heard that a lot lately.
Yeah. When we get to the canning, what we'll do, Sarah can cut this up into 1-inch cubes.
Hands don't fail me now.
We will have Sergeant Dad go get my Ball Fresh Tech water bath canner, the electric one. Put some water in there, heat it up, and drop our jars in that. That way, when we get ready to use our jars, they will already be heated.
Could put
You
them in the oven.
don't have to heat the meat. You do have to have the jars hot. They're going to go into a canner that's already going to be on. In the canner, you do not, in a pressure canner, this is very important, do not try to cover your jars. That won't work. Okay, in water bath, you want your jars covered. In pressure canning, you want about 3 inches or 2 quarts of water in the bottom of your canner, roughly. Once you get your jars in there, it'll come up about maybe this much on the jars. Once it's sealed and all, the process you go through with the All-American is you'll need to be sure to read the directions for whatever canner you have. For the All-American, what I do, once the lid is on securely, and I'll show you that process. Sergeant Dad will do that. He does that part for me. Once your lid is on secure, you keep the heat up long enough to get a steady stream coming out of the vent pipe. Once it starts to come out of the vent pipe in a steady stream of steam, you wait 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is up and it's vented for 10 minutes, and that's a good vent, okay, you got to see the steam, you can actually put the weight on the stem. Then you watch it until the little weight gauge starts to rattle periodically, and your gauge reads about 10 to 11 pounds of pressure. When you reach that point is when you start your timing, not before.
So that's all the talking that we're going to do, I think, for the most part. Let's actually show y'all how this works. Got all that pork shoulder butt roast thing, bone in, cut up. And after we cut it up, remember, it started off as 7.48 pounds. And we have ended up 6.051, which means we have, I'd say 1.4 pounds of fat. So here's our fat. The dogs are going to so love that. Okay, so before we actually put the meat in the jars, we want to make sure A, our jars are sterile, and B, we want to make sure that our jars are hot. If you put cold jars in a hot pressure canner, you're going to blow something up. You don't want to do that. So, our fresh stick. This is a cool thing. You fill the jars full of water. Oh, it's a heavy lid. And put them in there. Start it going. Once these get up to temperature, we'll pack them full, and I'll show you that too. All right, here we go. So, now we're ready to actually start canning. Fun part. Dump the water out. I love these tongs, guys. If you don't have some already, invest in them. It's worth it. All right. So the first thing we're going to do here is put our 1 teaspoon of salt in the bottom of our jar. Once we've got that, we can actually put the meat in. Now notice, I'm not putting any broth or anything like that. I do want to get the meat in here. It needs to be packed pretty good, but it doesn't have to be packed. It just needs to be in there with the holes and everything kind of filled in. So this is a dry pack method. And again, I'm not packing it. I'm just working the meat down in and filling any holes. And if you can't reach the bottom, or if your jar is too hot, you just press it on down in with your wooden spoon. I got some gaps down in the bottom I'm fixing there. There we go. And it looks like that 7.5 or 6, whatever we ended up with, pounds is going to make about 2.5 jars here. After you've got it full, you take a paper towel with some vinegar. This is an important step. You don't want oil and stuff on your rim. So you just wipe the rim down really good. You gotta work pretty quick, guys. We don't want this to cool off. Remember, we want that hot jar. Next is to go ahead and put our lid on. We've got these lids soaking in hot water. These are brand new lids. And in it goes. Now, we're going to go ahead, get all these packed. Looks like we got 3 out of that. And we're almost there, guys. So I'll show you when they're all in there. So we ended up with 4 really full ones and 2 that are like 3/4 from the top. Now, you'll notice the water, again, as Mom had mentioned before, Srgt. Mom, is not above the jars. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but down in the bottom, those jars are actually sitting on the rack. I want to remind you, for my newbies, that the jars do not go directly on the bottom. And we're just pouring the last of the vinegar in. This kind of helps sterilize the top of the water in there. It's no big deal. Keeps the jars from getting dirty.
Keeps some minerals from building up in the water.
Keeps minerals from building up in the water. Cool. Okay.
And transfer them to the jars.
Before we actually close this up and get it going, we're going to oil the rim, and this helps make sure that it seals. Olive oil all the way around the inside, and this just helps it create a good seal. See this notch right here? For those of you who have the All-American canner, you're going to line that notch up with that arrow on the lid. So it.
Okay, real important. You have a clear spacing all the way around. I'm going to use 3 canning lids. Fit right in here. And that should be all the way around.
So we're just using these as a spacer to make sure that it's even. Now with the All-American canner,
Opposites.
opposites always. Just like if you're changing a tire, for those of you who know about that.
Start out just snug. Just get them snug. And then tighten them down. Tight as you get them. At the same time.
Alternate, so opposites at the same time.
And go back and double check.
Make sure everything's snug.
Okay.
Here we go.
Steam. 10 minutes.
We're gonna wait for steam to come out of there. I don't know if you can see it, but we have got like the steadiest stream here. Yay! Okay. There. Steady stream. That's what you're looking for. 10 minutes of that, and then we put the weight on. Setting timer for 10 minutes. And getting it going. Go for it.
I have it set to go on the 10-pound hole. It's on. Ta-da!
10-pound hole, which you can't see from this side, but it's there. So what we're waiting for is this thing to start jiggling and this thing to come up to that 10 right there. So,
And then we adjust the heat.
and then we adjust the heat
And start the timer.
and start the timer, and it will go for 90 minutes. It's alive! 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 We're at 10. We're gonna set the timer for 90 minutes. Working on it. And we'll start this once that's jiggling pretty steady. We're really close.
No, it started.
Oh, we're started. Bing! Bing! Timer's off. That means it is time to kill our heat. So, we turn that off, and now we let it naturally just kind of depressurize. And once it's done depressurizing, naturally, they're pretty much done. All right, we have depressurized. We're down to 0. Just a little
steam come out.
Little
That's
bit.
it.
So just a very little. That's it.
Now,
Totally depressurized.
So we're going to wait a couple minutes to make sure that all the pressure is out. Pressure.
So we're waiting a full 3 minutes before taking the lid off. 2, 1,
But-
bing!
Oh. I feel no steam.
None at all?
No steam.
Cool.
ooh, pretty.
Go to opposite. Loosen.
Nope, that's not any better. Trying to make sure I get this for everybody. This is the exciting
Right.
moment,
They're
people.
all loose.
Cool.
Moment of truth.
Turn it. It didn't blow up.
That's good, I think.
Open it away from you because you don't want steam coming up on
Yeah, yeah. Anytime you open a hot pot, you always lift the lid away from you.
Now, is there any brown water in there?
you. We'll see. Pick the
I can
jars
smell it, so it may be.
straight up.
Do not tilt them.
Do not tip the jars. See all that boiling? Look at that. So that's how your meat gets cooked there, people.
And put on someplace to cool. Move, Mom.
This is just a drying towel blanket sheet thing here. And we're just going to set them on there, and the idea that they're not sitting directly on a counter.
24 hours.
And they've got to sit for 24 hours. Straight up, no tippage. Oh. We're looking for something called brown water.
No, it just means dirty water.
Dirty water.
Because that tells you if anything's siphoned.
Ah.
Water looks clear.
That's a good thing.
That means no siphoning.
Yay! Oh, that one's pretty. Look at that. Beautiful. Just so pretty. I love the way they look. What we've got here are 6 really nice jars. They're still boiling, and we're gonna let them sit and naturally cool for 24 hours. So what we're waiting to hear is this popping sound where each of them sealed and are perfect.
Sometimes they'll pop when you're not listening.
So if you don't hear them pop, it's not necessarily the end
Check
of the
the
world.
little dimple in the
You just
center.
check the dimple in the center.
If it is down, they're
Like this
good.
one looks like it's already popped, and this one looks like it's already popped because they're... Okay, it's been 24 long hours, but they're done, and now I can show them to you.
Hair in your
Check it out. Pork shoulder. They look beautiful. So, before I wrap up this video and close it out for today, we're going to take this one. And that is, I'm going to show you how to turn that into, dun dun dun, barbecue pulled pork. Wow. Okay, that sure did seem like a lot, but let's see if it was worth it. So we're back at the house. We've got our can of pulled pork, and today we're going to make those barbecue sliders. So, over here, I'm going to do like a whole buffet thing. I've got some burritos with chili. We're going to cheat on those. But right here is all pulled pork, And I want to make it to where it goes good with the burritos. So we're going to use that Tabasco jalapeno mesquite barbecue sauce. And just good old Pepperidge Farm slider buns. I like those a lot. So to do this, the first thing we need to do is check and see if we've got a good seal. No poppage, that's perfect. So what you want to do is slowly lift it by the lid. And if the lid stays on, you got a great seal. So that's perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. Yay! All right, give me a sec. Now, the smell, instantly. It was just wonderful. The aroma is fabulous. So that's great. I don't need all this extra juice for pulled pork. So what we're going to do is carry this on over to our sink. And we're just going to strain all this extra juice off. Beautiful. Look at that. Guys, that's cooked. I don't have to do nothing but enjoy that today. So, let me get my pan. Get my trusty pot here. And dump that in. And remember, it's going to hold about 1 pound per jar. So that's just about what we want to see there. Okay. Trying to do this one-handed and videotape. Y'all should be applauding right now. I just used my knees. Knees. God gave them to you. Barbecue sauce. Now this is good and spicy. I don't want to like overpower the spice. And what I expect is that as it cooks, it's going to break back down. Left my spurtle across the house. Here we go. Okay. So you're just going to, yeah, look, see how it breaks up as you're stirring the stuff in. And I haven't even put it on the stove yet. This is just so that tender. So, gotta stir this up and heat it up and put it on buns and dry it out. And this is what it looks like when it's all broke up and mixed together. Isn't that pretty? That's going to be so good on those buns. Okay, so we've got one built here. And now comes the goodness. Ready? Oh, yeah. The meat's good and soft. It's not chewy or tough at all. And it's got lots of flavor. Just so much flavor. All the pork flavor is in there. None of it cooked out. It's all right there. Right there. So, canned, pulled pork. Well, canned pork. Really super simple to use. Really super simple to make. Not super expensive. And all you need are some basic supplies. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let you know how to use the All-American Canner properly, how to properly sterilize your kitchen and make sure everything is good and exactly safe for your family so that you can produce great home-cooked meals. Hey, don't forget, like this video right here on YouTube, please. And comment. I want to know what you think. Are you going to try this? Do you think it looks good? What other sauces might you try to go with it? I don't know. Throw me a text. I'll respond. I promise. Bye.